Why do you feel the need to act strong? To look untouchable? To hide the tremor in your hands? To convince the world and yourself that nothing can break you? I used to live like that too. I thought being cold meant being powerful. That silence was strength. That the less I felt, the more control I had. But what I didn't see back then was that my armor wasn't strength. It was fear in disguise. We live in a culture that worships the mask of toughness. The man who never flinches. The woman who never cries. The leader who never doubts. We think that if we project enough confidence, people will respect us. But in truth, the harder you try to look powerful, the more you reveal your weakness. Because real power doesn't need to announce itself. It moves quietly, it observes, it waits. And no one understood this better than Niccolò Machiavelli, the man the world misjudged as ruthless, but who was, in fact, one of history's most brilliant psychologists. He didn't just write about kings and rulers. He wrote about you, about the invisible games of fear, ego, and perception that still rule modern life. So tonight, we're going to strip away the illusion. We'll expose why acting tough is not strength, it's self-betrayal, and how Machiavelli, 5 centuries ago, already knew the price people pay for trying too hard to appear powerful. Take a deep breath. Forget what you've been told about dominance, alpha energy, or control. By the end of this video, you'll see that the strongest people in the room are never the loudest. They are the ones who no longer need to prove anything. Now, before we go deeper into this journey, do yourself one small favor. Stay until the end. You'll see yourself in every story, and maybe you'll recognize the part of you that's still pretending to be strong. And if you want to keep walking this path of awakening, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell, because the next time I upload, I want you to be the first one to hear it. I once knew a man who looked like he had everything figured out. He walked into every room as if he owned it. Broad shoulders, perfect posture, that calm but deadly look people mistake for confidence. He never raised his voice, never admitted when something hurt him. Everyone said, "That's a strong man." But I saw the truth. I saw the exhaustion in his eyes, the weight he carried behind that armor. He was a soldier. Years of discipline had taught him how to command silence, how to keep his face still even when his world was burning. But what he didn't realize was that his need to look unshakable had become his prison. Every time he buried fear, it grew stronger. Every time he faked calm, he lost a piece of his soul. Maybe you know someone like that. Maybe it's your boss who acts untouchable but drinks alone every night. Maybe it's your partner who never cries but breaks things when no one's watching. Or maybe, and this is the hardest truth, maybe it's you. When you fake strength, you leak insecurity. It slips through your tone, your posture, the way you rush to prove you're fine. People can feel it. They may not say it, but deep down, they know when you're pretending. Because real power doesn't demand to be seen, it's felt. It radiates quietly, like gravity. I remember one night, that soldier finally cracked. He sat there in silence and whispered, "I'm tired of being the strong one." And in that moment, for the first time, he wasn't acting. He was real, and that raw honesty carried more strength than all the years he'd spent pretending. We're told to act tough, at work, in relationships, online. The world rewards appearances. It tells you, don't show emotion. Don't let them see you bleed. But here's the hidden cost. When you numb your pain to look powerful, you also numb your ability to connect, to trust, to love. You become so obsessed with not being hurt that you end up hurting yourself in quieter ways. Isolation, emptiness, anxiety disguised as control. I've been there. I used to wear my toughness like a medal. I thought indifference made me untouchable, but what it really did was make me invisible, to myself and to others. Because every time you say, "I'm fine," when you're not, you teach the world to stop caring. You turn yourself into a ghost behind your own mask. And here's where Machiavelli's wisdom pierces through centuries of illusion. He saw this exact pattern in rulers, kings, generals, men who built empires by pretending to be gods. But the smarter ones, he said, never acted tough. They acted aware. They knew that power wasn't about domination. It was about perception, about knowing yourself so deeply that no insult, no threat, no loss of image could shake your inner balance. 500 years ago, Machiavelli wrote that fear, when controlled, is more powerful than love, but only when you control it, not when it controls you. The soldier, the CEO, the man who never shows weakness, they all fall into the same trap. They confuse image with influence. But the moment your identity depends on how strong you look, you've already given away your power. Because now, you need the world to confirm it for you. You see, acting tough isn't strength. It's dependence. Dependence on attention, on validation, on the illusion of control. And every time someone threatens that illusion, you react. Angry, defensive, cold. Because deep down, they're touching the wound you've spent years hiding. So the real question isn't, how strong do you look? But what are you afraid people will see if you stop pretending? Maybe that's where your real strength begins. Not in the armor, but in the courage to take it off. If you've ever worn that mask, if you've ever tried to look powerful while feeling lost inside, share your story in the comments. I read every single one. Because behind every performance of strength, there's a human being craving to be seen without the act. Machiavelli once wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you can control that fear." People love to quote that line to justify arrogance, manipulation, or cruelty. But that's not what he meant. Machiavelli wasn't glorifying fear. He was warning you. Because fear, if you don't master it, will rule you. And most people who act tough are not masters of fear. They are slaves to it. The truth is, acting tough is never about strength. It's about control. Control over how people see you, how much they can hurt you, how deeply they can reach you. I used to live like that. Every move calculated, every emotion hidden. I believed if no one saw my pain, I could never be defeated. But in reality, I was losing every day to my own ego. See, Machiavelli understood something modern psychology later confirmed. When you rely on fear to hold power, you must constantly feed it. You have to prove you're unbreakable. But the moment someone doubts that image, your foundation shakes. So you raise your voice, you posture harder, you wear another mask, and soon you're performing strength instead of living it. It's a defense mechanism, what Freud called a reaction formation, the act of pretending to be the opposite of what you really feel. The weaker you feel inside, the stronger you act outside. It's a way to survive humiliation, rejection, and powerlessness. And that's why acting tough feels intoxicating at first. It gives you the illusion of control. But illusions need constant maintenance. Carl Jung saw this too. He said, "What you repress becomes what controls you." So when you bury fear, shame, or insecurity, it doesn't disappear. It becomes your shadow. And your shadow will speak for you when you least expect it. It's the sharp tone in your voice when someone questions you. It's the way your heart races when you're challenged. It's the cold silence you use to protect yourself. You think people fear your strength, but they only sense your fear. Look at the men who bark orders, who interrupt, who always need the last word. They think dominance earns respect. But respect built on intimidation is brittle. It breaks the moment someone sees through the act. The leaders who truly inspire are the ones who can stand in a room full of chaos and remain calm, not because they're suppressing fear, but because they've befriended it. Machiavelli would call that strategic awareness, knowing yourself so deeply that you no longer need to act. The tough act is a kind of self-hypnosis. You convince yourself that if you look strong enough, you will become strong. But power that comes from pretending always costs you authenticity. And authenticity is the one currency the world can't counterfeit. When people feel you're real, when your words and energy align, they listen, they follow, they respect. Let's go deeper. When you act tough, what are you really protecting? You're protecting the wounded child, the part of you that once felt small, unseen, or humiliated. That memory, buried but not healed, becomes the silent driver behind your strong behavior. You shut down vulnerability not because you're powerful, but because you've been punished for being soft. You equate gentleness with weakness. So you build walls instead of boundaries, and confusion instead of connection. But Machiavelli's true brilliance lies here. He knew that the wisest leaders weren't the loudest. They were the ones who could hold their emotions like weapons, sharp, precise, used only when necessary. He wrote, "A prince must learn how not to be good when it serves his purpose." And what was that purpose? Survival. But not survival through force. Survival through awareness. Through understanding human nature so well that you never need to fight unnecessarily. That's what people miss. Machiavelli didn't teach manipulation. He taught mastery. He taught restraint. He taught timing. He taught that true power comes not from pretending to be fearless, but from understanding your fear so completely that it no longer makes your decisions for you. So if you've been acting tough, ask yourself, who are you trying to convince? The world or the voice inside that still doubts your worth? Because until you confront that voice, until you face the shadow, you will keep performing instead of living. And the irony? The moment you stop performing, you become magnetic. People trust you when you no longer need to prove yourself. They respect you when your silence carries more weight than their noise. That's the paradox of power. The less you need to show it, the more you truly have it. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever caught yourself pretending to be stronger than you felt? What did it cost you? Share your story or your insight in the comments. I read them all, every one of them, because every story of vulnerability is a story of awakening. Let's look at what this illusion of toughness really does to people and to power. You've seen it before. The CEO who storms into meetings, dominating every conversation. He thinks his voice equals authority, that loudness equals leadership. Everyone nods while he's speaking, but the second he leaves the room, no one follows his direction. Why? Because fear can make people obey, but it never makes them loyal. Then there's the soldier who confuses discipline with emotional numbness. He wears his scars like armor, but at night his mind replays the things he never faced. Every unprocessed emotion becomes another invisible wound. Or the man in a relationship who believes showing emotion makes him weak. He suppresses it, trying to look composed, until the pressure turns into anger. The moment she walks away, he realizes too late that silence doesn't always protect you. Sometimes it kills connection before you even notice it's dying. These people all share one thing. They mistake control for strength. But control is fragile. The tighter you hold it, the quicker it slips through your fingers. Now, contrast that with real strength, the kind Machiavelli understood. He studied rulers who didn't need to shout. He wrote about how perception shapes power more than force ever could. A prince, he said, must learn to appear powerful without overexposing his intentions. The moment your emotions dictate your actions, you've already lost the game. Take Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor of Rome. He commanded armies but ruled himself first. His power came from calm, not chaos. He knew what Machiavelli later confirmed, that authority is not the ability to dominate others, but the ability to master oneself. You can see this principle alive today. Look at the most respected leaders, the ones who don't rush to speak, who let silence stretch just long enough to make people listen. They understand that presence creates more impact than volume. When you meet someone like that, you feel it before they say a word. Their calm unsettles you because it exposes your own restlessness. But the opposite is just as true. Have you ever seen someone desperately trying to look confident? The exaggerated laugh, the forced posture, the over-explaining. It's uncomfortable, not because it's wrong, but because it's transparent. The act reveals the insecurity it's trying to hide. Psychologists call this compensatory behavior, overacting in one area to conceal fear in another. And that's exactly what Machiavelli warned about. Overcompensation breeds weakness. A leader who relies on the appearance of power loses the essence of it. Think of political figures who rule through intimidation. They thrive on fear until the moment people stop being afraid. Then, their entire system collapses overnight. Because fear cannot sustain loyalty, it can only sustain obedience. The same thing happens in personal relationships. The partner who controls through silence or manipulation might seem strong at first, but eventually the other person stops caring. Once fear turns to indifference, control evaporates. So what does true strength look like? It's the manager who doesn't need to micromanage because their presence commands respect. It's the parent who teaches through example, not through punishment. It's the person who can say, "I don't know," without shame, because they don't confuse uncertainty with weakness. I remember a mentor I once worked for. He never interrupted anyone, even when they were wrong. He'd listen quietly, then ask one question, one so precise it dismantled every false argument in the room. He didn't need to act tough. His silence was enough. People respected him not out of fear, but out of awe. That's what Machiavelli meant when he said, "A wise prince must appear both strong and gentle, feared and loved, but always in control of himself." In every domain, business, relationships, leadership, the pattern is the same. Fake toughness isolates, real strength connects. The person who acts tough builds walls. The person who is strong builds presence. And here's the paradox. When you stop performing, your influence grows. Because authenticity disarms people. Because calmness creates gravity. Because silence, when it comes from inner mastery, makes others speak their truth around you. That's why acting tough is the worst mistake. It makes you visible but hollow. It gives you attention, but not authority. It wins battles, but loses wars, especially the one inside yourself. Machiavelli saw through the noise of human ambition and said, "A ruler's greatest weapon is perception, and perception begins with the energy you radiate when you're not trying." So here's the reflection I want you to sit with tonight. What kind of power do you project when you enter a room? The power that demands attention, or the one that earns it through stillness? Now tell me in the comments, have you ever mistaken control for strength, in yourself or someone else? What happened when the mask finally cracked? I read every story, and I promise, your words might help someone else take off their armor too. Machiavelli once wrote, "A wise prince hides his intentions." He didn't mean deceit, he meant mastery. The kind of power that no one can touch because it doesn't need to prove itself. That is the birth of the quiet strategist. A quiet strategist doesn't fight every battle. He observes, he waits. He lets noise destroy itself. He knows that storms are temporary, but presence, true presence, is eternal. This is the type of person who can walk into chaos and remain still, who can be insulted and yet not take the bait. They don't need to appear strong, because their calm already says everything. For years, I was the opposite. I thought power came from response. If someone questioned me, I argued. If someone doubted me, I over-explained. I needed to be seen as right, as unshakable. But that need made me weak, because when you have to prove your worth, you've already forgotten it. The quiet strategist knows the difference. He doesn't suppress emotion, he studies it. He doesn't escape fear, he investigates it. He doesn't dominate people, he understands them. And through understanding, he controls the only thing that truly matters, himself. Sun Tzu said, "The greatest victory is the one that requires no battle." That's the essence of this philosophy. The strongest person isn't the one who intimidates others, but the one who can walk away from conflict without losing their center. Think of how you react when someone disrespects you. The instinct is to defend, to correct, to reclaim power. But imagine instead, silence, not weakness. Silence that radiates awareness, the kind of silence that makes the other person question themselves. That's the silence of the quiet strategist. The Stoics understood this thousands of years ago. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's what Machiavelli, Jung, and Aurelius all shared. The same truth through different lenses. Power is not dominance. Power is self-possession. True power is invisible. It's not performance. It's presence. It's the quiet certainty that no matter what happens around you, you won't betray yourself to prove anything to anyone. When you stop trying to control perception, perception begins to work for you. People feel your steadiness, your groundedness, your refusal to be pulled into petty emotional games. They can't define you because you no longer need them to. That's when you become unpredictable. And unpredictability, the right kind, is power. Look around in today's world. Everyone's shouting to be seen. Social media has turned toughness into theater. Everyone's posturing, performing confidence, pretending peace. But peace that has to be performed is already gone. You don't need to act unbothered. You need to become unbothered. Here's how you start. First, observe your reactions. Every time something triggers you, a comment, a rejection, a loss of status, pause. Feel that fire rising in your chest? That's the ego demanding validation. Breathe. Let it burn without responding. Every time you do that, you reclaim a little more of your energy from the world. Second, practice intentional absence. Stop being available to every message, every argument, every emotional demand. Withdraw, not to punish, but to recenter. Machiavelli said, "A ruler must learn when to be seen and when to disappear." In modern life, that means knowing when silence speaks louder than explanation. Third, rebuild your inner authority. Every day, do one thing that strengthens your discipline, not your image. Read instead of react. Reflect instead of scroll. Act from clarity, not from mood. The more you practice this, the less you'll need validation. And slowly, something shifts. The tension fades, the mask falls, and the energy that once went into proving yourself becomes raw presence. That's when you start to terrify people. Not because you're aggressive, but because you're grounded. They can't manipulate you anymore, because nothing in you reacts automatically. You become the still point in the chaos, the one who sees, understands, and decides only when it's necessary. That is real strength. That is what Machiavelli meant by wisdom. To know yourself so completely that no enemy, no critic, no loss can make you abandon your center. And if you've made it this far, maybe you're ready for that. To stop performing strength and start living it. To shift from noise to stillness. From reaction to awareness. From acting tough to becoming untouchable. Now it's your turn. Tell me in the comments. What part of you are you ready to stop performing? What truth are you ready to face? I read every response, because every story of awakening reminds someone else that they can begin too. There's a moment in every person's life when the mask begins to crack. You hear it first in the silence, that quiet exhaustion that whispers, "I can't keep pretending anymore." I've been there too. I know the ache that comes from holding it all together, from walking into every room with armor so heavy you forget how to breathe. You tell yourself it's protection, but deep down, you know it's prison. Acting tough might make the world pause for a second, but it won't make it respect you. Because respect built on performance dies the moment the performance ends. You don't need to look untouchable. You need to become untouchable. And that begins when you stop hiding behind hardness and start mastering softness. Let me explain. Softness isn't weakness. It's awareness without panic. It's being fully open to pain without letting pain define you. It's courage, the kind that doesn't shout, doesn't posture, doesn't demand to be seen. It simply is. When you stop acting tough, you stop negotiating with your own worth. You no longer depend on someone else's approval to feel solid. You stop chasing dominance and start building depth. And here's what happens next. The people who once tried to control you, stop. The ones who underestimated you watch in confusion. Because real strength isn't loud. It's unsettling. It's the stillness of someone who no longer fears losing anything. Not love, not reputation, not control. That's what it means to be untouchable. To walk through the world knowing that chaos cannot reach the place you be built inside yourself. To be free, not because you have power over others, but because no one has power over you. When Machiavelli studied princes, he realized that the strongest ones weren't those who commanded armies. They were those who could command themselves. He wrote about strategy, but what he was really describing was consciousness. Awareness that sees through every illusion, including the illusion of toughness. So if you're tired of pretending, if you're done performing strength to hide your wounds, let this be the moment you drop the act. Let it fall away. All the posturing, all the fear, and underneath it, you'll find something unshakable. Not perfection, not armor, just truth. And truth, once embraced, makes you unstoppable. Look around you. Everyone is fighting to be seen, to be heard, to be right. But the ones who truly change the world are the ones who no longer need to prove anything. They've mastered the art of restraint, of listening, of moving only when the time is right. That's who you're meant to become. Not a performer of strength, but a maker of peace. So take a breath. Withdraw from the noise. Observe yourself without judgment and start rebuilding your inner power, one moment of awareness at a time. Because one day, you'll look back and realize that the moment you stopped acting tough was the moment you became truly powerful. Stop acting tough. Start becoming untouchable. If this message spoke to something inside you, if it made you pause, even for a second, don't let it fade. Hit the like button so more people can find this message. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell, because I promise the next videos will go even deeper into this journey of awakening, psychology, and power. And in the comments below, tell me, what truth in this video hit you the hardest? What part of your toughness are you ready to let go of? I read every comment and I reply, because this space isn't about performance. It's about honesty. It's about becoming real again.